What is going on, everyone? Thank you for being here. JD Temple from the Light of the Darkness. I know that a lot of you are here on the chat, and I'm really excited about tonight. And thank you all for being here. It's going to be a really, really awesome live stream. Tomorrow is the 28th, and that is when the Compendium of Lucifer is going to be released through Become a Living God. And I wanted to show you guys really quickly where to go to access this information. I know we're getting a little feedback, but hopefully the gremlins will chill out on us and we can get through this thing. But this is where you're going to want to go to get your copy of the compendium tomorrow. On the 28th, you're going to go to becomealivinggod.com/Lucifer. You can go there right now and download a free copy in an ebook format of a free chapter, rather, in ebook format. And of course, this compendium features 6 different authors. You've got E.A. Coetting, you've got Kurtis Joseph, who's going to be joining us tonight. You've got Edgar Craval. You've got Bill Duvendek, you've got Asborn Torval, and you've got Frank White. So this is going to be really, really awesome. This compendium is made up of 6 different grimoires. There's also video courses that are going to go along with it. And then tomorrow on the 28th, if you place your order, you will get a free Sigil of Lucifer Flag, which I've seen it. It's really, really beautiful. If you place your order tomorrow on the 28th, you'll get that absolutely free. So be sure to check that out. And without further ado, I want to introduce tonight's special guest. We have with us Cujo himself, Kurtis Joseph. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. Glad to be here. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Much better than Friday. And I'm sorry that I had to cancel. I was just, I was in the gutter, man. And I'm sure that you can relate. Hopefully it's been a long time since you've been there, but with me, sometimes you never know. And it was just one of those times where I was just like in a bad place spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and I just couldn't do it. So I apologize for that, but thank you for being here with me tonight.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. And yeah, I definitely can relate. It's really just a part of the game, man. It's a part of the growth process. You know what I mean? And, shit happens. No biggie. I'm not a fan.
Awesome, dude. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, on this path, I think we have to come to expect that these kind of things are going to happen. And
oh, yeah.
Oh, you can't. Oh, okay. Sorry. I think I've messed up the cameras here. Give me 1 second. It's doing that thing again, isn't it? So I'm going to have to do it manually, and I can do that. So I'll do it. Let's see.
Man.
There he is. How about that?
Excuse me.
That's like me.
Let's say it this way. Problems with technology never, ever cease to amaze me when I do podcasts, man. It's never ending.
Well, it's crazy. Like, I had like what's happening with it now. Like, it's supposed to jump back and forth between us as we speak, of course, right? And the same thing happened with Frank White, and so like I had to like manually move it back and forth, like how I'm doing right now. I think now I'm on there now, which it should do it automatically, but I'm going to switch it back over to you because I really, really want to kind of get into this thing, I know there's a lot, that you're bringing to the table in this compendium. A lot to do with sigil work, a lot to do with monatomic gold and Ormus, and really just a lot of other gnosis that Lucifer Amaymon has bestowed upon you personally. And wherever you want to start, man, we're all really excited to hear about it.
Yeah, this work with Lucifer really took a lot out of me. If I don't know who is aware of the work with the Belial compendium, but at that point in time, I was about 215 pounds. And Lucifer just took my head and put it in the clouds, man, to where I honestly would forget to eat. I would forget to sleep. It was a very in-depth path working, bro, but it was all worth it because the gnosis that he brought forth was definitely incredible. Because we're not only talking about drastically changing the individual at an alchemical level, but the world as a whole. And it's interesting to see because I'm starting to notice that that's a common theme within all of the work that I'm putting forth up until this very moment. So, you know, it's definitely a pleasure to be able to be a part of this series. But essentially, to start off, what I want to say is that Lucifer's message to the world is that we do have a small handful of people that are out to destroy us. That it is indeed a spiritual war, but it is not a war that can be won by taking part in it. Essentially, his advice is to focus on building the world that we want to live on instead of taking part within the political battles and watching the conspiracy theories and worrying about where our next meal is going to come from. You know, we simply just need to start moving our energies towards what we seek in this world. And, you know, to me, that was profound.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to get caught up into all that stuff. You know, it's so easy to get sidetracked, like focus in on like stupid, idiotic things that really, at the end of the day, they don't mean a damn thing. But you can get so like laser focused on it, and like it's like a snowball. It just builds and builds and builds, and it can actually make you feel like you're going insane. So yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. You know, to really kind of bring that to the forefront and let just to make people realize, like, you know, we're all focusing on a bunch of stupid, worthless crap, and we, you know, really where we need to focus our attention. And I know that's where you come in, you know, with the enlightenment that Lucifer has bestowed upon you.
Oh yeah, and you know, looking back on it, man, it almost seems like it's common sense, and it really is. It's really just common sense. You know, we are all focusing way too much on the propaganda. We are all focusing way too much on building a governmental pipe dream by taking part in that. When in all reality, what we need to be focusing on is building our own empire, building the life that we desire to live. It's really that simple. You know what I mean? And the issue is that exoterically, at face value, all of the propaganda that we're faced with on a day-to-day basis is designed to sort of hook us, to bait us in, so that worry and disdain for the system is always at the forefront of our minds. When in all reality, if we were to just focus on that which we need to be doing to create the life that we seek to live, all of that would cease to exist. It is our observation and participation within this tyrannical system that honestly keeps us oppressed.
So you would say, like, it's really, like, by and large a lot of fear tactics that that the opposition is using against us to just really scare us to death into thinking this way or that.
Yeah. I mean, that's really all it has been since the very beginning. You know, the modern term is PSYOP. It's like a slang term for a psychological operation that is utilized to circumvent humanity's power to build this governmental pipe dream. But that PSYOP has been occurring for thousands of years, probably since the beginning of the recording of human history. And it's funny because even though it seems like common sense, nobody has caught on. Caught on humanity. Even though we have watched the same patterns of empires rising and falling, and people, you know, moving through these cycles of slavery, fighting for liberation. We have not learned from our mistakes. And it's time for humanity to essentially mature and grow up. And that's what is happening within this current age of awakening.
And I guess too, it's like, you know, we need to kind of like start to, you know, like, you know, report the outcomes of our history the way that they actually factually happened, and not skew everything and make it this way or that way, the way that is going to best fit or suit the agenda that's being pushed forward.
Right. And I mean, let's face it, that's the issue. That's the main issue, is that history is a tool utilized to propagate political agendas. Just about everything they teach in the history books is, number one, it's written from a biased point of view, and it's written through the lens of perception that deals with these political agendas, which we all loathe and despise, for the most part. I can't speak for everybody. But, you know, that's really the big issue. We need to be living in the moment, because what is going on is we are looking at all of these falsely written historical facts, and that's taking us out of the present moment, where our energy needs to be invested to create Eden, which is possible. Mankind needs to awaken to the fact that they can't blame the government anymore. We are the ones that have allowed it to get this far. And we also need to quit bitching about how oppressed and enslaved we are, because in all actuality, here within the United States, we still have it a lot better off than a lot of other third world countries.
No, no doubt. No doubt about it. Absolutely. Yeah, I think about that a lot. I really do. Like, I think about that and I'm like, what would I do if I didn't live here? Like, you know, like I can be like so lazy sometimes and like, you know, be like bitching and moaning and complaining about that I don't have like this modern convenience, or I don't really feel like doing this today and that kind of crap. And it's like, you know, I have food, I've got shelter, I've got electricity, I've got heat and air and like conditioned spaces to live in. And like a lot of people don't even have that. And like, I don't think really many of us here that are all here as a part of this podcast could actually even fathom what that's like and what that would be, you know, what that would be like to have to deal with. And I hope that none of us ever know. Because I mean, we're just not conditioned to have to endure those kind of things in life. You know, the way that people used to be able to do it. I really think that we would crumble into nothing if we had to endure some of these things.
Oh, yeah, because we're so codependent. Everyone claims to loathe this system of tyranny, but at the same time, they're so dependent on it. You know what I mean? You cannot sit there and state that you hate the system while at the same time know in the back of your mind that if it were all to shut down and you had to live off of the land, you would be crying, begging for it. And that's the funny thing, because that's what the system counts on. You know what I mean? That's why when everyone hears, oh, governmental shutdown, they freak out. They freak out. But isn't this what we are all supposedly aspiring to? I beg to differ. I have to shine light on the hypocrisy. You know what I mean? It's a must. Call me hypocritical, because, you know, I got to tell you, man, throughout the entire 6 years of writing Black Magic of Amaymon, I mean, you got to understand that was the mentality throughout the writing of that whole text, was waging war on the system at the spiritual nucleus, being the gods and egregores which these systems represent. But, you know, moving forward with Lucifer, there was a major shift in my own evolutionary process. And most of that shift dealt with becoming accountable, seeing that I play a part in all of this, and then coming to recognize that that's good news, because that also means that I'm in control of helping to create that change, just as you are and everybody else, you know.
That's got to be terrifying, though. You know, I mean, I think it's terrifying for all of us to really have to, like, you know, really truly be accountable and be, you know, for our actions and for the things that we do in our daily lives, and to know that it's like, yeah, like, because of this thing that you did, this had an impact on it, and you've had an impact on other people, or you've had an impact on, you know, your society, your local society, or your local group of people. And, you know, I think a lot of us, it's like, you know, we're just conditioned to kind of like be so selfish, and to really just like think that it's really just all about us, and we're not really thinking about it, you know, from a standpoint of like a collective. But it's hard. It's hard to know what to do, you know? I mean, because, yeah, I mean, like, if the grocery stores weren't here, if a lot of the modern conveniences and things that I have in life weren't here, I feel like we would turn into total animals, you know, for a period of time. But, you know, it's just kind of like, where do you start? You know, where do you fucking start with this?
Right. And, you know, that was that was a major wake-up call for me at the beginning of my work with Lucifer. You know, because it wasn't really just a matter of seeing that we were accountable, but also seeing the evil that we are capable of. And Lucifer, towards the midway, he started to really shine light on those darker aspects of myself. And I've spoken about this in past videos with EA, and you know, it really was less than comfortable to experience, but I'm not the only one that has to do this. Humanity as a whole honestly needs to step in to these darkest aspects of self and embrace them, and to find ways to circumvent that negativity to work towards the greater good. Because if that does not occur, what is going to happen is when shit hits the fan, we are going to be very, very unprepared to deal with the problems that we are going to be facing, and we will become animals. We are gifted right now. Some would want to debate, but we are gifted with higher consciousness. That is what separates us from the beasts of the field. However, if we do not step into the darker aspects of ourselves and come to terms with them and use them in ways that are conducive to our evolution, we will become nothing but animals, man. And I've seen the visions. I've seen the future and what can occur. And it's you.
Is it Walking Dead? Is it basically the Walking Dead without the zombies?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you want to use that allegory, cannibalism is definitely something that will happen. When there is not food, people need to understand that, you know, people aren't going to go without eating meat. And if you're the weak guy walking down the street, you can end up on somebody's plate, because
survival of the fittest again, right?
Nobody's going to want to see their children go hungry. You know what I mean?
Not. Whatever it takes.
So what will occur is that primal instinct is going to kick into overdrive in all of the wrong ways. And that's when the reset button is going to occur. So
I mean, is this something like what you're talking about right now? Is this something that Lucifer is trying to help us to avoid? Or is this something that he is trying to prepare us for the inevitable, that this is going to be a very painful process in evolution, or this is going to be some true growing pains? Or is this something that we can kind of circumnavigate and kind of slip around if we play our cards right? Or, you know, what's the deal with that?
Well, I mean, these prophetic visions, I'm just speaking about them now. I haven't even gotten into any depth. But these are visions that I refused. I have a way of artistically conveying things through writing, and I just refused to write about it, because I knew that, I mean, it's grotesque, but it isn't inevitable. It's not inevitable in any way, shape, or form, and that's really Lucifer's message. It's a warning. It's a warning. And honestly, it comes from Belial just as much. You know, I've definitely seen a different picture. Regardless, what we're looking at is growing pains. We have to look at the collective in the same way that we look at our own children. We are honestly all very behind in regard to our evolutionary process, and that's the truth. Even the most knowledgeable black magicians, I'm talking about founders of the most popular magical lodges in existence, they are babes. They are drinking milk from the breast of the dark goddess. They have no clue. I myself am just a child. I'm a baby. So we as a collective are definitely going to have to understand that we are going to face some growing pains. However, is this going to lead to our becoming, or is it going to be to our detriment? That's going to be the difference. Is the way we decide to evolve going to lead to our becoming something greater? Or is it actually going to lead us towards a more primitive state of being that is going to completely almost wipe us out of existence? You know, that's really the question. And it's my hope that it's the former, that we evolve in a more productive way.
Well, I mean, do you think that in order to evolve, and I mean, you know, I wasn't going to go there, but I want to go there. Like, do you think that in some kind of way, in some kind of form, is there going to be some kind of aspect of eugenics or something like that that is going to have to come into play for this to happen? I mean, are there going to be certain, you know, certain sects of the populace that are going to have to be eradicated in order for us to move forward? Or is this something that we're all going to be capable of, these states of enlightenment? We're all going to be capable of this evolution if it's something that we choose to do? Or are there people that are going to just simply hold us back from it, that we're not going to be allowed to keep on the game board?
Well, truth be told, it's enlightenment and evolution becoming its fair game. Everybody is capable of it. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be dirty because some people just refuse to wake up. Some people will just simply refuse because they're completely against the concept of change, much less human evolution. They don't understand change, much less evolving as a human race. And not only that, being able to choose that process. They don't understand the premise that evolution is a choice. We have to choose to focus our intention towards the very process itself. And that's what opens the doors. That's what opens the doorways to the gates to Lucifer's throne. And, you know, he's a harsh and very abrasive teacher. The elder shadow, what we call Amaymon, is no joke. But I would rather have that internal conflict, coming to terms with those darkest aspects of self. And I would rather choose to evolve and go through those lessons as an individual, because then we can still maintain a certain element of harmony and peace, for lack of a better term, within the world and our environments. Because if this conflict and evolution comes forth without our choice, it's going to happen outside of ourselves. And that's when things, I mean, the streets will flow with blood.
I mean, it kind of like reminds me of, like, you know, like when I was a kid, the Boy Scout motto, you know, be prepared, you know, like you've really, really got to prepare yourself for anything and everything that can happen. You know, and it's like hearing you talk about these things, it also reminds me of like my life in the last like 5 or 6 years, where, you know, like 6 years ago, I was obsessed with talk about The Walking Dead again. I was obsessed with that show. I love that show. I lived for that show, man. I had the toys and stuff, and I was like a total nerd about it. And the thing that started to get to me was like the realistic nightmares that I would have and the daydreams and the crazy thoughts. And it had nothing to do with the zombies at all. It was all about the people and what they turned into. And I sat back and I was like, dude, like that could be us so quick and so easy. Like that would be us in a freaking heartbeat. And it had such a profound effect on me. I had to quit watching the show at like season 6 or something. I was like, and I haven't watched it since. I actually watched a few previews of like what's been going on maybe like a month or two ago. And it gave me like the worst anxiety that I've had in forever. I was like, dude, I can't mess with it, dude. I'm not going to watch it. I can't. Maybe, you know, I need to have that reminder every now and again, you know, just to kind of be like, yeah, like this is where things could be heading. And, you know, maybe I don't need to go all out prepper on, you know, everything in my life and like, you know, but I do need to be able to be as self-sufficient and self-reliant as possible without taking it to the extreme. But, you know, I've had that feeling too for many years that, you know, that there could be some dark things coming down the pipeline if we don't make some, you know, some major changes. And it's going to definitely be like a big group effort for sure.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a group effort. And this is the main thing, though. I mean, the preparedness is one integer within the equation of evolution, but it is the fear that we need to step back from and objectively observe. Because in all reality, man, it's paralyzing. And what it does is it extinguishes that element of hope, that element of light that is Lucifer. But we also have to learn how to find the light within that darkness, which is Amaymon, one and the same. Because there's a lot of light in the world. We need to understand that we have to start looking for the silver lining. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now. I don't even want to bring it up, but Alex Jones being censored. I mean, come on. We have to ask ourselves, we all used to laugh at this guy, but why is he being censored?
Right.
It's kind of,
yeah. There's a reason why, right?
Yeah. Did he say something? Was he on point about something?
Yeah,
or was he
must not be harmless. He must not be totally harmless, right?
He must not, you know? I'd hate bringing that up, man, but that's just the first example. We really got to learn how to look into these things and find the silver lining. We need to find the light within these dark circumstances. You know what I'm saying? And then we need to take that hope and that energy and siphon it into creating something new. And, you know, Lucifer brought forth a couple tools throughout my work with him that are so basic, yet they make so much sense. And these are things that developed along the way, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I started sharing it with other people, you know, and a few people put these things to good use with great results. And so I'm like, yeah, man, sure. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the freaking book because it belongs there. I need to get it out there to as many people as I possibly can, man, because obviously this is why I'm here.
Right on.
And that's where, you know, the basic sigil work comes in. There's a few seals and sigils that I place within that text, but, you know, I will say that those can be applied conceptually. In other words, they can be completely replaced with basic sigils of someone's own design and choosing to create change on a large scale. And it is my hope that people put this to great use. The occult experiments that people perform through this work with Lucifer, this is going to be the beginning. This is going to be just the start. Lucifer didn't just say prophetically, yes, you can change things. It's your fault, but that also means you can change it. No, he gave us very basic tools. And if we apply them, man, at that point in time, it's just a matter of sitting back and waiting for the results. Apply.
So, like, are we from what you've gathered? Are we gonna have to totally give up on like this technology that, as we know it right now, that you and I and everyone here that are enjoying, and create something new that's going to replace it, that's going to give us a similar result? Or is it going to be one of these things where it's going to be the singularity and we're going to merge with this technology that we currently have? Or what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are the current level of technology, first of all, is the cause of a lot of hubris and arrogance. For some reason, humanity thinks that just because we have all of this grand technology, it means we're wise. But look at all the people that are dying of starvation. Technology has its place. No, we're not going to replace it. But what we need to do is take control of it. And that is brought forth through the text as well. And anybody that actually follows me on Facebook has probably seen me perform one of these. I call them sigil bombs. It's basically where I will create an ass ton of sigils just randomly and charge them with intent before I release photos of them on social media. Okay? Well, once they are released, people can observe them, and it starts to operate on the subconscious minds of the masses. And dude, I've created probably 30 sigil bombs the past 4 or 5 years. That's one of the things that Lucifer said that I could integrate within my practice years back, and it works. So I decided to go ahead and throw that within this text as well, because it's so useful. But the more people see these sigils, the more it operates on the subconscious, the collective subconscious of all of mankind. And so that's an awesome tool to have. So I just decided to go ahead and give it to the public as well. You're going to see great results with that. And
That's
you can
awesome.
you can create change within your own life utilizing these methods. And you can also create change on a large scale. It's really up to the magician. And I do state within the text that, I'm not a big, I'm not one of those black magicians that is obsessed with baneful magic.
Right.
And I really don't propagate that, but mankind is just, we're less than pleasurable beings to hang out with for the most part. We'll just say it like that. And so it's necessary. So I do make it quite clear that these things can be adapted and utilized according to free will, because that's something that I don't choose to sway people from. You can use these things banefully. You can use them to create chaos. In the end, that's how things are going to balance themselves out. It really, free will is a big component of the entire thing. It's a big integer within the equation of our own evolution. It just is. So I'm not going to sway people from that.
And I'm with you on, the aspect of, like, I'm not a big proponent of baneful magic either, but everything has its place. I'm definitely, I'm with you. Like, I'm a lover, man, above and beyond everything else. And speaking of that, I wanted to give love to everybody that's here. There's a lot of people in the chat, and like Kurtis and I are like so happy that you guys are here. And I wanted to give a ton of love to our awesome moderator, Orly Stewart. She is like Johnny on the spot. She's always here for us, and she just freaking rocks. Check her channel out. Check out her Patreon, Mother of Abominations. Check out her website, motherabominations.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to her YouTube channel, which is Orly Stewart. Thank you for all that you do for us, and everybody here. We love you so much. I had to throw that in there, man. I had to take a time out to really just talk about that and to highlight you know, the love and that everybody's here, and like I can feel it from everybody, and it's freaking awesome. It's amazing. I want to hear about this monatomic gold aspect, man. Like Ormus is something that I've been interested in for a few years now. And I really never got the whole gist of what it's all about. But I know from what I gather, you know, you are the man to talk to about this, and you actually like make this stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, Lucifer led me to this concept. He called it lux corporalis, or material light. And I really didn't know what he was talking about. It was 2 days after he mentioned this lux corporalis that I just happened to click on a YouTube video that was dealing with Ormus. And 15 minutes into it, this gentleman called monoatomic minerals, or Ormus, material light. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's lux corporalis. So I knew right then and there it was not a synchronicity, you know. So I started to research it more. I have heard about it in the past. I didn't really pay too much attention to it, but some of the outrageous claims, man, were just astounding. I didn't know what to make of it. Now, I decided to order some from a reputable supplier, and I started to have great results from it. Well, I started to ask Lucifer about this. Okay, and this is where anybody who is actually working the material within Black Alchemy of Belial that was in the last compendium, Belial Without a Master, is going to have synergistic results utilizing the monoatomic minerals, because gold is a great conductor of energy. You know what I mean? That's why they started using gold-plated wiring and stuff within televisions, things of that nature.
Right.
But monoatomic gold specifically is what is called a superconductor. This stuff operates by essentially merging with our own genetic structure. More specifically, I will say the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. And it's like gold plating these electrical systems within the human construct, within the human body. So we automatically start to conduct more energy. This is the first benefit. It's a higher energetic output. I might go to bed at 1 o'clock at night, man, and I'm up 2, 3 o'clock in the temple doing what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? My need for sleep has greatly reduced. It also helped take the edges off the abrasive nature of working with Lucifer Amaymon, because like I said, man, I went from like 211 pounds back down to $175, lickety split.
Yeah, dude, you look freaking fantastic, man. I wanted to say, like, seriously, dude.
I started to take this stuff, man, and I just felt better. I felt better about everything that I was doing. But the more I talked to Lucifer about this, he started explaining about how by gold plating, I'm using allegory here, by gold plating the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, the first thing that occurs is a balance within the right and left hemispheres of the brain.
Whoa.
And then from that point on, what occurs is we start to stimulate the more, I don't want to say minor, but the less significant nadis within the human body, or energy pathways. The Chinese call it chi meridians. There is 72,000 nadis within the human body, 36,000 on each side. When the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems get charged, all these other nadis start to conduct energy in a more potent way. This opens up gateways of power and evolution that will aid or expedite the evolutionary process. As I got deeper into the work, he started saying, there's more to this. I need you to dig deeper. Okay. He started implying that I needed to look at more sorcerous applications of this stuff because it conducts energy in such a powerful way. So I started racking my brain, man, just, you know, meditating on Lucifer's sigil, just utilizing his name as a mantra. And I caught visions of a few different ways that this stuff could be used. Well, I tried what is called evoking through the Ebon Gateway within Black Alchemy of Belial. And I used the water gate, which means I just took a scrying bowl with consecrated water and I put some of these monoatomic minerals within the water, right? And I decided to evoke Lucifer through this water gate. His more draconian form started to manifest above the surface of the water. And his words were very simple: consume me.
Oh, man, I knew it. I knew it. Hell yeah.
I drank the fluid, and dude, I woke up on my couch the next morning, and I lost time. I was under complete possession with Lucifer by applying this technology, and it was incredible. The gnosis that came forth from that is really when I started to have to look at the darker sides of myself through the gateway of Amaymon, the elder shadow, the sun behind the sun. I mean, but that isn't it, dude. Like, I'm a big proponent. I'm a big propagator of, you know, giving offerings to the spirits we work with. And I just wondered, I wonder how Lucifer would appreciate this as an offering. Well, I've got this plaque, which I have his sigil carved into and lined with 24 karat gilding. And I just decided to put this stuff on the sigil. Dude, I put monoatomic gold on his sigil. I said, Lucifer, come. Boom! Thunderstorm, dude, like out of nowhere. Like, gee, you gotta be kidding me. You know what I mean? But it sent chills up my spine, man. So yeah, it's very interesting. And you know, I did give a few examples of how this stuff can be utilized within sorcery, but I really didn't do that because I wanted to. I did that because it's supposed to act as a platform of inspiration so that other people can start to experiment with this stuff, not only in producing it for themselves because it's cheap to make, but also utilizing it within sorcerous practices. Because I'm not the first one to talk about this stuff. David Hudson is the guy that first brought this stuff forth. You know, the science that he brings forth is questionable, but the results I've gotten from consuming this stuff is not questionable, man. It's really undeniable. And I bring forth a very simple way of making this stuff using milk of magnesia and Dead Sea salt.
Nice.
You
Hell
know, and I'm
yes.
through
Yeah.
the entire process. It's cheap, man, you know. And the environmental factors that come into play are also profound. For instance, at the beginning of my work with Lucifer Amaymon, he spoke of the fact that we tend to focus on one aspect of our oppression, and that keeps us from seeing the totality of the root cause, which is us, right? Well, some people will look at the educational system. Some people will look at the pharmaceutical industry. Other people will look at tyranny within the law enforcement industry. Well, genetically modified food is another example. This lux corporalis, or material light, in theory, what it is supposed to do is return the genetic potential at the level of the DNA back to its original state before it is affected by external environmental influence.
Oh, wow.
So what Lucifer essentially implied was that we can take genetically modified food and return it back to its original state utilizing this material.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, it's like, what else? I mean, like, have you heard anything like that? Maybe you could even take like some spoiled produce maybe and kind of make it fresh again and make it consumable and that kind of thing. I mean, almost kind of like resurrect the dead, so to speak, with this monatomic formula.
No, they were talking about agricultural necromancy. Yeah, and no, it's not really like that. We're talking about essentially, even most of the seeds we get to plant our own crops are genetically modified.
Mm-hmm.
They're genetically modified to the point to where, okay, it can produce organic plants, but there's a specific way that it's manipulated so that it does not bear seeds.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about is a progressive movement through the generations of planting things on our own as individuals, which will lead towards actually being able to harvest food as it originally existed beyond the agricultural manipulation that has occurred by genetically modifying our produce.
Because I guess the thing with the GMOs is it's like, you know, the food supply in essence has been taken control of, and the control and the ability for us to actually be able to take seeds from this produce and plant it and make new seeds. They've taken that ability away from us by having this genetically modified, you know, plants and vegetables and fruits and things, to where we really don't have that ability anymore. So this could actually take that GMO produce and turn it back into as it was in the beginning of existence, to where we would be able to, it would yield seeds, and we could then produce more and more and more and have the ability to feed ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, now granted, at this point in time, I cannot say this with 100% certainty, but I have a lot of people that say that monoatomic gold is such a scam. Yet the results that I've been getting are freaking wonderful. We can, from a psychological perspective, say that it is the placebo effect. Okay, we can say that. However, who cares?
Right.
If it's working, who cares?
Absolutely.
What if it is a placebo effect? Why not consciously utilize the placebo effect if that is indeed what it is? That is really, truly irrelevant. It's, at the end of the day, the result that matters. If I'm right or wrong, I mean, I'm sure most people would agree. So if we are, and this is why I know Lucifer is not lying, even though it could be a placebo effect, I know he's not lying, because like he said, by coming to know that we are accountable, that's bad news, but it's also good news, because it lets us know that we are the ones who are in control. What if by us simply just acknowledging that, yes, this is going to work, I think that alone, if the majority gets a hold of this information, that alone will create the necessary shift in reality to open the doorways for this to be hardcore, raw, real world truth. I've actually utilized monoatomic minerals and given it to plants with great results. We have brought plants back to life that were on their way to death. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say that we can resurrect, you know, rotten fruit that's in the fridge. But yeah, the effects that it has on plant material is definitely astounding. I mean, I'm really not being sarcastic here, man, but, you know, if you were to take a hydroponic machine with marijuana and put it within the water, your crop would be 10 times bigger, man. Like, no exaggeration. The size of the fruit, the size of the flower blossoms, it's incredible. It's incredible to see. It really is.
Well, you know, everyone, y'all heard that here first. Yeah.
Yeah. Wink.
Yeah, winky, winky. I like, so, you know, so the formulae for creating your own Ormus, is that included in the compendium?
Oh yeah, man. I had to put it in there. I had to, because this is one of the, see, a lot of people think it's BS because it seems to be this new age thing that only a certain class, for lack of a better term, a certain class of people will utilize. And it seems to be these people that are on the bandwagon of this new age movement. But there's some dope ass truth to it that the sorcerer can actually take to the next level. So I wanted to bring it forth in such a way that people can make it for themselves and experience the difference for themselves. I know for me, myself, the first 2 weeks were actually pretty hard. It really brought, as I said, that was about the point in time where Lucifer started really shining light on those darker aspects of myself. And so a lot of that emotional garbage started coming to the surface. And I had to embody it. The people around me didn't appreciate that very much. They just didn't, you know what I mean? Again, it's just the nature of the game that we're in. But after that, I really did start to see a big difference in my perception of the world as a whole. It helped me to keep a more divine perspective on things, a higher perspective, I should say. Because I don't want to sound arrogant. I don't want to sound full of hubris and you know, that's just not my style. But it definitely did heighten my perception of things, so I could see the silver lining.
Well, I am stoked about the sigils. I'm stoked about the Ormus. I mean, I'm stoked about really everything, the revelations, the gnosis. I mean, like everything that this compendium stands for. I mean, I can't wait to get my copy. And don't forget, everyone, you can get your copy tomorrow at becomealivingGod.com/Lucifer. August the 28th, that's tomorrow, and you'll be able to get your very own copy. You know, any final thoughts on the compendium and your contribution into it, Kurtis?
Oh man, I just got a sneak peek into how the book looks, man. Timothy sent me a sample photo. It's one of the most gorgeous books Become a Living God has produced to date, you know, and I'm really excited about the contributors of the compendium. I know that the synergy behind the 6 of us is going to pack one of the most powerful punches that the world has ever experienced. This is going to be the most powerful grimoire on Lucifer alone in existence. And I am very excited. I do hope that people don't just get this for educational purposes. I would really hope that people would get a hold of this grimoire to apply it, to apply the various concepts that are being brought forth to create change within your own life and to empower yourself, because that's really what we're trying to do with these compendiums, is we're trying to empower you guys to take you to the next step. And don't ever let this book sit on the shelf and collect dust. I mean, put it to use. That's really my last thoughts on it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I mean, I know that I cannot wait to get my copy. I'm definitely placing an order tomorrow. And one thing I wanted to mention, and I think I mentioned it earlier, if you do place your order for the Compendium of Lucifer tomorrow on August 28th, you will receive a free Sigil of Lucifer Flag. It's beautiful. And like Kurtis was alluding to a moment ago, I've seen the compendium as well. And I mean, it is really, I mean, it's gorgeous. It is really, really gorgeous. And I mean, I can feel the infernal power and energy just radiating off of it. So I cannot wait to crack it open and to, you know, begin to intake that gnosis and then begin to apply it in my own life. And I urge all of you guys to check it out. If you want to get a sneak peek more than you have with this podcast and the others, you can go to balg.co/Lucifer and download a free chapter in an ebook format. And then don't forget, tomorrow, August 28th, is a big release of the Compendium of Lucifer. Go to becomealivingGod.com/Lucifer to get your copy. And there's video courses that go along with it as well. But I wanted to thank you, Kurtis, so much for being on here with us, for, you know, taking some time out to tell us about, you know, your contribution to the compendium. And I mean, dude, I'm freaking stoked, man. I know everybody else is too. And, you know, thank you so much, bro.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure. You know, for real, everyone, just get your copy and apply it.
Right on, right on. And thank you to everybody out here in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to our freaking lovely moderator, Orly Stewart. Please check out her channel, Orly Stewart, on YouTube, and like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe to this channel. And if you did like what you saw earlier tonight, don't forget the super chat is enabled, and any donation is appreciated from $1 to 100,000. I'll take 100,000. Whatever you're comfortable with, and you're not obligated to do it. You're never obligated to do it, but it always helps, and it helps me to be able to do this and bring this content to you guys. So once again, I love you guys. Thank you, Kurtis. You are the man. And hopefully Kurtis will be back on here with us again very, very soon.
Hell yeah. Anytime, brother.
Awesome, dude. Well, have a good night, man. And I'll check you very soon. Don't forget, the release is tomorrow. becomealivingGod.com/Lucifer. Check it out. Love you guys, and I will see you all soon.